I mean, if you're anything like me, you probably asked yourself, how do I increase my income? I mean, I think that's what everybody asks. I mean, do you feel like you're not making what you deserve? Well, you're in the right place if that's the case, because today, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you in on my top 5 ways to increase your income. My name's Chris Naugle, and I'm here to teach you how to become the bank. So let's dive in. The first way is to create a budget. And that's going to allow you to figure out where your money's going, because the best way to increase your income is to figure out where your income's going. Kind of just makes logical sense, right? But how many of you have actually sat down and created a budget? In the comments below right now, put in AYE if you've done a budget, because that makes you part of the 1% club. That's all the people that do a budget. It's insane. But if you do, what you've figured out is how much money is going out the back door every single month. You got credit card payments leaving, line of credit payments, car payments leaving. I mean, my gosh, have we completely forgotten about the first law of wealth, which is pay ourselves first? You know, we focus all of our time and energy on paying everybody else first. We pay our creditors, our debtors, our expenses, and we somehow put ourselves in the back seat. We literally have forgotten about our goals and our needs and putting everybody else's in front, which, hey, in some cases that's the right way, but when it's your debtors, creditors, and everything else, it's not. And then we wonder why we don't get the things out of life that we want, because we're doing it backwards. So the first way to increase your income is to take back the money that you're giving away. That's simple. If you pay Visa $100 a month, well, damn it, let's take that $100 a month back. If you pay $500 a month to the car payment, let's find a way to pay that $500 a month back to ourselves. Now, I know that it can be difficult to pay yourself first and pay your bills. I mean, we don't live in a fairy tale world where you can have both and nothing changes. I mean, it'd be nice if it did, but it doesn't work that way. So how do you do this? Well, you got to start saving somewhere. And that starts with setting some rules for yourself. Save 10% of the money that you earn. And then let's take the money that you saved, that money, which is 10%, every $10 you save $1, and you pay everybody else after that. Let's take the money that you save up every quarter, and let's take a chunk of that and let's pay down the debts. But let's do that from lowest balance to highest. So let's start with the smallest credit card and then the next smallest. Once we pay the small credit card off, whatever the amount was, this is important, so pay attention. Whatever the amount was you were giving away to that credit card, you change the name on the check. Now the name on the check is you. You deposit that money back into your bank. That means you've just recaptured and recycled the money you were giving away, which increases your income, but also it's like earning whatever interest rate it was that you were giving away. If Visa charged you 20%, you're making 20. If your car payment's 4% interest, when you pay that $500 a month back to yourself, that's like you making 5% and getting $500 extra every month. Now I want you to then redo your budget. Once you've taken back the majority of all the money that you're giving away, chances are you're going to get to the point where you hit your mortgage and that's about it. Most people aren't going to just pay their mortgage off right away. And it's going to take you time to do this, but getting wealthy is a marathon, not a sprint. So we got to start somewhere. So that's why the budget's the first starting place. So now once we've taken back the money that we're giving away. So if the first thing is to create a budget, and the second thing is to take back the money you're giving away, what's the third thing? Well, let's identify some hidden equity, some money that's sitting under your feet that you don't even know is there. Right now, if you're in your house, in your kitchen, on your living room couch, I want you to look around. You see that thing that you're sitting in? It's called your home. You know what your home has? Hidden equity. But here's the problem. Most people that have equity in their homes do nothing with it. They don't tap into that equity. They don't use that equity. They just leave it sit there and be lazy. So let me paint a picture for you, because this is exactly what's going on. All of you have had a really tough day at work, right? It's that day where nothing went right. Nobody answered the phone. Everybody said no. You hardly got any yeses. The boss was an ass, and you got out late. The TPS reports were due or something, so the boss said you're not going home until they're done. It's late at night. Of course, it's raining out. You get to your front door. You're exhausted. You're tired. You open the front door, and you look into your living room. Stay with me. Right on your couch is your money. It's laughing, it's eating your Doritos, it's drinking your soda, it's watching your favorite show on TV, and your money pauses for just a split second with a big grin on its face, looks back at you, and says, "What, did you have another hard day?" Folks, that's what you're doing. You're out there working for money, and your money's sitting lazy on your couch. Darn it, that's time to change that. If you haven't tapped into the equity in your house, if that equity is just sitting there being lazy, why? It doesn't cost you anything to take that equity out of your house. It takes you going to your bank and getting a home equity line of credit. And then the only thing is we then have to find an opportunity for that money. So let's just say you couldn't pay off all those debts out of your income. You just didn't have enough. Well, now we got this hidden equity. Let's take this hidden equity sitting in your house. Let's get a home equity line of credit. Then we take a loan against that home equity line of credit. And we pay off high interest rate debt. And we take the amount you were paying the debtors and you pay it back to your home equity line of credit. If you do this right, let's say your home equity line of credit by today's numbers cost you 6%, but the credit card was charging you 10, you just made a 4-point spread. If your credit card's charging you 20, you can do the math. That's a 14% spread you made. Folks, how much easier is it for you to increase your income than that? That's found money. That's money that should have been happening and working for you the whole time, but you allowed it to be lazy. That's your fault. So you got to start changing that. Number 4, this is the one thing that will increase your income tremendously. Become a problem solver. Stop trying to solve your problems. Stop complaining to everybody about this problem and that problem and how you're broke and how you're so sick of working and how you hate your job. Stop. Start focusing on solving somebody else's problem. Let me give you a story. This is a made-up story, but it makes perfect sense. There's 2 guys that both work for a trash waste company. And they work on the line, which is, let me explain this, it's a terrible job. The dump truck backs up with all the recycling stuff, dumps it on a conveyor belt, and guess what? You and this other guy are the 2 that get to sort through all this trash. And I know everybody's supposed to just recycle the stuff that is recyclable, but dirty diapers make it in there. So now there's 2 people, the tale of 2 guys. The one guy all day long is watching the clock. He's complaining, he hates his job, he's just waiting for a better opportunity. Every single day is the worst day of his life. But the other guy on the other side of the conveyor is whistling, he's happy, he's sorting through it, he grabs that poopy diaper, shakes it off, changes his gloves, laughs, "Oh man, guess they got the wrong garbage can. No big deal. That baby must have had a big meal that night." Starts whistling. Every day's the best day of his life. What's the difference between the 2? They both make the same amount of money. They both live in the same neighborhood, drive the same kind of car. One guy understands that he's solving a big world problem. And that big world problem is every piece of cardboard, every piece of plastic, is making it so that that piece of cardboard and plastic doesn't end up in a landfill, doesn't end up in the ocean. That's a big problem. He's focused on solving that problem. You know what will happen to him? He will rise to the top. He will become an expert in his job. He will climb the ranks so fast, eventually he'll own that waste company. And the guy that complained will jump from job to job to job, hating every single job just a wee little bit more, never making more money and never being satisfied, and will die complaining. The other person did one thing different. Realized the problem he solved. So now this back to you. What problem do you solve every day? What are you an expert in? What do you want to be an expert in? To be an expert in anything, to make a massive amount of money in anything, you got to be a problem solver. And that problem solver means you got to solve somebody else's problem. So you want to make a lot of money? Be the best there is at solving somebody else's problem. And the fifth and final way to improve your income is this. Do what everybody else is unwilling to do. When I first started in Wall Street, I was 23 years old. I had no business being in a Wall Street job. I'd never put a suit on a day in my life. I remember showing up there and sitting in the bullpen with all these other new young guys that were just there to pound the phone for the guys around the outside. And I remember watching these guys around the outside in the big glass offices saying, what did they do different? How did they get that office? How did they make $1 million? And I remember watching them. Barely, none of them would ever really talk to us because we were just, pond scum, if you will. We were the little guys in the middle. The only job we had was to link the call to the guy on the outside. But What I watched is I watched them show up every day, no earlier than 8:30. For lunch, they would leave for 2 hours. And then at the end of the day, 4:30, maybe 5 o'clock, they would leave. And I said, you know what? If I want one of those glass offices, all I have to do is everything they're unwilling to do. So instead of getting there at 8:30 like everybody else, I did what they were unwilling to do and I showed up at 7. Instead of going out to lunch for 2 hours, I did what everybody else was unwilling to do and I pounded the phone during lunch. And then when everybody went home to be with their family, go wherever they went, I went out and did what everybody else was unwilling to do and saw clients at their kitchen tables. Do you know where the rest of this story goes? That's right. I made a whole lot of money. I had one of those big glass offices and I was one of the top 3 advisors at that firm in a very short period of time. Folks, what did I do different than anyone else? I did what everybody else was unwilling to do. It's not too late for you. Doesn't matter where you're at in your life. Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you follow these 5 steps, let's repeat them again real quick because they're very simple. To increase your income, first, create the budget so you know where your money's going. Second, we're going to focus on taking back all the money that you're giving away. The checks you're writing to somebody else should be checks you're writing to yourself. Number 3, we're going to identify hidden money, lazy money that's sitting on your couch, and we're going to then make that money go to work for us. Number 4, we're going to become a problem solver. We're going to become an expert in what we do, and we're going to focus every day on one thing, and that is solving somebody else's problem. And number 5, we're going to do what everybody else is unwilling to do. If you follow those 5 steps, folks, there is no way you can't be a millionaire, a multimillionaire, and even a billionaire, because that's the success path. If you liked this video, you got to check that one out. Too late for crypto? I think not. Watch the video to learn more. We'll see you next time.